I thought of that, and I don't feel like the state auditor has the ability to give that kind of an opinion. They have a separate job from what your county auditor has, and they're not an attorney. They may be an attorney, but their role.
Well, I'm talking about the integrity of the system, the office.
I still think it comes down to
Again,
how you
that's
look at the
just
statutes.
She does feel
That's
threatened.
just another auditor's opinion that they're not going to listen to. If you don't listen to mine.
I think it comes down to the interpretation of the law,
Okay,
which you wouldn't get from the state auditor.
thank you.
If a motion was to be made by commissioners on adding administrators to the software that Deanna has, would there be anything, any description for those added administrators that they would not have the ability to go in and alter records and exist? They would have limited, basically, capabilities? Because I think that's one of the key things. When you say administrator, and she's the administrator now, you think of having the same capabilities of going in and being able to manipulate and make changes to the program. So I think it would be important that if you do get to the point where you make a motion and you say, okay, these people are going to be added in the event that something happens to Deanna, or they'll be the first contact with the people who basically sold us the software. They'll be the point of contact. I think that was a word that you used today. That they will have limited abilities to make no changes. They will not be able, they will not have the capability of making changes, because I think that's one of the key things there. And if I were in Deanna's position, and I think if any of you were in her position, and she had responsibility, and yet there were other people that could go in and alter or make changes, I think it would limit her capabilities and being able
So
to
maybe
be
that should
responsible.
include the difference between a systems administrator, which is what you've been discussing, and a county officer, which is the auditor's job by statute. Nobody's wanting to mess with your job by statute. I don't feel like anybody's wanting to change anything to do with your audit. It's two different things, and I still don't think everybody's completely clear about it.
Well, I think
System
we're closer to
administrator-
it now.
Huh?
We're closer to it than we
System
were an hour
administrator in the
ago.
office
The county
person,
officer.
yeah, that's two different things. I mean, but I guess you could clarify that a little more so what it is right now.
Well,
It's not very
when you
clear.
make-
Sure, we could do that. We could
If you
write
get
that
to a
somewhere.
point where
I
you're
was-
going to make a motion,
That's kind of what I was hoping to.
and kind of give a description of what their function is going to be. And apparently, from what you have said, Dan, and I believe, they are not going to go in and make changes. But there has to be some kind of protection because of the integrity of that program and that one individual that is and does have the capability of going in and making changes when necessary.
Here's what I want to do.
Can I say something real
Sure,
quick?
sure.
This just occurred to me. Could it be set up so that it would require Deanna and the other person to make any changes to the records themselves or to passwords or things like that? Is that something that, I've sprung this on you, so you may want to think about it, but that way you wouldn't have either one of them acting without the other one, and then maybe there would be a way to, if something happened to one of those two people, that the IT people could say, okay, well then the other one can do it.
So why would the two of these guys do it then? Why don't Dan and Deanna do it?
Here's what we'll do, Leah. We're going to ask for an Attorney General's opinion on this, but so we're sure that everyone, I want you to have input on the question we asked. Before you send it to the Attorney General, say, Mullane, we're asking this in the most middle of the road question. And here is our question. With the understanding that when that Attorney General's opinion comes back, what it says is what we're going to do. If it says, Dan, you're crazy, I'll drop it. But if it says, Dan, you're right on the money, we're gonna abide by it. That's what our motion and vote, that's the direction it will take us.
Why can't the two of you share it equal?
How about that? Why don't they?
I mean, you and Indiana, nobody else. You can get together and do it.
There's the key. Getting
If they
together.
get
I've asked for that.
Together.
I asked for that. The Fletcher thing was kind of from a conversation I had this morning. I've been asking to be put in where she and I share, to just have my administrative rights restored. Yeah, I would have the right to go in and do anything she does, but if I do it, I'm logged in under my ID, they'll know I did it.
And also, have this put in the record that this isn't just the auditor's situation, that you're going to be doing this with every other office within the county.
You don't believe me when I tell you that, do you?
Well, because you kept saying it's a process and we're going to do it, but not that it's just a target here, and I think that's where this,
Somebody has to be first, Bev. I mean,
so I said A.
If I
I go
started-
along with A.
if I started with Kevin,
No, I
and Kevin
said,
had said, oh, they're ganging up on me, they're trying to do this, would you have poured out for Kevin?
no, I'm not trying to be argumentative.
Yeah.
We still want to make sure that what we're feeling here, it's not just a target
My
here.
point is, you'd pour out for Kevin, you'd pour out for anybody if you thought they were being targeted. Somebody, some area has to be the first one.
I agree with you, and I said, I understand A, but it is going to be an ongoing, this is a work in progress.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear.
I am software security
Right.
week. I have been involved in this for about a week and a half.
Okay.
That's as far into it as I've gotten. But when I hear someone from the software company tell me I've got some things that aren't kosher, I have to act on it.
Sure. Understood.
So, as you were talking to Ms. Hagelmeyer, as you guys were, once you guys finished up the conversation about the Attorney General and all that, and let's make some up.
I mean, the
Not to cut it short,
the simple solution would be to share the access.
that'd be
That's-
great.
that's
if
the
you
simple
Get
solution.
to that, if you guys can get to that.
And my idea was that two people would be required to make changes. And I guess you'd have to define what changes
Yeah,
those
I don't
would
think
be.
we need to, well, that would be the perfect
I'm trying to
thing.
give her the comfort that something won't happen that
Without
affects the data that she's responsible for, the records that she's responsible for, but yet your concerns seem to be that if anything happened to her, nobody else knew how to gain access or whatever.
Right. Because you log in under a unique,
User
you know,
ID.
let's suppose I take leave of my senses and want to start altering entries to the ledger. I'd say 12 to 24 hours, she would be aware of that.
And did I hear somebody earlier say that there would still be records available from prior to those changes? That they're not basically purged from the system, that you could go back and retrieve whatever had been changed? Was that you that thought that that was the way it would work?
Should have a general revenue and a profit and loss and balance sheet budget that she can run on a daily basis that are maintained as of today's date, the 24th. This is what they were on the 25th. If they're different, you can look and see where the differences are.
Right. But in the absence of that, we go for the Attorney General's opinion, and to make sure that both sides feel like that they're being equitably represented, we decide what we want to find out, and the two of you put your heads together the most benign, unbiased way to pose the question. Because, let's face it, we ask auditors questions, we're going to get an auditor answer. I could ask commissioners questions, I'm going to get a commissioner's answer. You doggone attorneys, you ask each other questions, you're going to get an attorney's slant. That's why it's key that the two of you put your heads together, and we'll decide what the talking points are. What do we find out? Does the commission have any authority to have administrative privileges over county software, or however we want to phrase it? That's the biggest thing right there. Are we infringing upon the auditor's ability to do her job in any way if we do that? Those type of things. But we want to ask it in a way that both of you can say, I'm comfortable with that, you're not slanting it, because we want a question right down the middle.
Dan, I would suggest then that be taken to a vote so that when the opinion comes back, it can be readily implemented. Because my experience has been that when the opinion isn't that which is desired by Deanna, she just doesn't follow it, so.
Well,
Even if we
it's,
make a motion and agree to it?
Let me just mention something. I'm sitting here listening to this, I think it's a wonderful idea, and I hope we get an Attorney General opinion that we're all happy with and can follow. But I can't bind my client not to take whatever legal action she might at some point decide to take. Because that's something in the future, because she doesn't know what that opinion might be.
Right.
And I understand your all's desire to take it and abide by it, but I'm not so sure any of us can say right now, yeah, we have to.
I wouldn't think I
abide
would
by
make
it.
a motion until I knew what that question was.
That's
right.
What
I'm just
you're saying is
I'm not saying
that
it's wrong, I'm saying,
if the Attorney General comes back with an opinion and she doesn't like it, you don't want to give up the right to file suit because she doesn't agree with it.
Well, I don't even know that the law would allow you to do that.
Right.
No, I'm not asking you to
Yeah.
waive your right to that. I'm just
Right.
saying that our intent, if they come back and say, yes, you have that right,
Then you're gonna go
we're
forward.
gonna make a motion, have a
Sure.
second, and a vote.
And then the burden's gonna be on her to decide if she needs to take a legal action.
Right,
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
yeah.
and in the meantime, maybe the two of you can get together and see if you can work this out without, I'm not saying don't take the journal after you just got the saying. I'm saying if the two of you guys could be both the officers, if that's the answer, maybe a week's time, or maybe how long this will take, there'll be a little more time to think about it all, and
How long do you
we
think
won't
it'll
end up
take us to
suing
get
each other
it?
and everything. I mean, it'd be much better.
I don't know, depends on how busy they are.
I mean,
What's the phrase that's been passed around these last 2 weeks with the debt crisis? Find common ground? Maybe?
At this point,
Change.
table it until you get a
That's
definitive
what-
I
decision.
think the
what we're
last one
doing.
we asked for was
Just
3
think
to
about
4
it.
weeks out.
Well, can I ask something else? It might help Deanna if we had some definition of what, and somebody said it earlier, some definition of what the system administrator would
That's
be
what,
able to do.
that's great, and that's the kind
Yeah,
of thing
that's-
together
That
that we
almost
work
sounds
out.
like something Tyler Technologies might
Right.
have to help you with, to
Well,
define.
maybe they can spell it out a little better.
Yeah.
Right, because in our question, we will have to
We'll
say
need that.
something similar to,
Mhm.
does the county commission have the right, or the, I guess it would be the right, I'm trying not to slant this, does the county commission have the right to act as co-administrator as defined by this?
Mhm. Yeah.
But, you know, if there's, what I'm hearing here is if the Attorney General agrees with you, you're gonna be happy, but if not, we're gonna expend more money on.
I don't know that. I just can't promise
Okay,
today
I'm not
what the
asking, I'm
reaction
asking
will be.
Until you know what the question is,
Well, until I know what the
everybody's
answer
happy.
is.
Or the answer.
Yeah.
Question first.
I mean, gut feeling, hypothetically, we, Melaine and Leah put their heads together, and we come back from the Attorney General, and the Attorney General says, absolutely, the presiding commissioner, the commission has that right to be implemented in that position. Is that something you can live with?
I'm still not sure I understand what kind of administrative rights you want. I mean, I
So
still
that's
think
why,
Okay,
we're.
let's-
that's why we
let's-
want to
let's-
define.
Speaking
It needs
speaking
defined
hy-
definition.
speaking
I mean,
hypothetically,
I think if
let's
it
speak
still comes
hypothetically and
back
say,
and
every
says-
right you have, you share with me as your co-administrator, because I own it, you run it, so to speak.
So you would have all the same abilities inside the system as I have?
Yep.
No, I'm not gonna be comfortable with that.
Okay.
So my thing is, I don't know why we waste our time. I mean, frankly, it's a waste of time. It's
That's,
a waste of our time, it's a waste of my time. I mean, not that I don't love,
I mean,
Sitting over here
I'll
and
give the
listening,
deputy
but this
auditor
is-
that ability, but I don't wanna give.
this is,
but if the
Yeah,
Attorney
7
General
months
says
into
that the
this.
commission is well within the statute by doing that, you wouldn't abide by that.
I don't know right now.